Welcome to lesson number 3. We're going to be looking at operations with functions part 2. And part 2, we're actually looking at the product of two functions. And so in lesson 2, we were looking at the sum and the difference of two functions. So this is very similar. I have function f of x that is shown right here, and I have function g of x shown right here. And then I'm given the x and y values for each of the functions. Now, when I'm multiplying function f of g of x, this is the same thing as going f of x times g of x. All right, so when I find the product of the two, where function f of x right here is equal to -7, and here g of x is -7, so function f times g of x is going to be 49. And so we continue down our list. -5 times -6, we get 30. We get 15, 4, 1 and 3 is -3, -6, -5, 0, and 9. Now that we've completed our table of values, now we can plot these points. So here I have my new function in pink. This is function f times g of x. Now, function f times g of x is a parabola. So my two original functions, f of x and g of x, are linear functions, but my new function, f times g of x, is a parabola. Now, the functions f and g above, or f and g above, are f of x is equal to 2x plus 1 and g of x is equal to x minus 3. We want to write a simplified expression for f times g of x. So f times g of x is equal to function f of x, which is 2x plus 1, times function g of x, which is x minus 3. If I expand this, I just need to FOIL it. I'm going to end up with 2x squared minus 6x plus x minus 3. Gathering my like terms, I'm going to end up with 2x squared minus 5x minus 3. So this is my combined function of f and g of x. So this is f times g of x. So parts D, E, and F you can do by yourself with your graphing calculator. And although with F, I'll do that here, but D and E you can use your graphing calculator to determine these values. But part F, let's take a look at this one, where I have F times G of 8. So we want to figure this out in two different ways. So F times G of 8 is equal to F of 8 times G of 8. And so this first way is if we were to calculate it in my original functions individually. So my original functions were 2x plus 1, and then we're going to multiply that by 8 minus 3. So 2 times 8 is 16 plus 1 is 17 times 8 minus 3 is 5. This is going to work out to 85. So that's one way we could do it. The other way is if we use our expanded function of f times g of x. And so we would have 2 times 8 squared minus 5 times 8 minus 3. We're going to end up with 2 times 64 minus 40 minus 3. And this also equals 85. Now, in this investigation, the product of two functions whose graphs are straight lines is a quadratic function. Now, in this next example, we're going to consider these functions. F of x is equal to 3 times the root of x minus 2. And g of x is equal to square root of x minus 5. So we want to write an expression in simplest form for each of the following functions. So first of all, f minus g of x is going to become 3 root x minus 2 minus root x minus 5. This is going to equal 3 root x minus root x is just going to be 2 root x. And then, sorry, I should put that in brackets. But this negative sign is going to make this positive. So positive 5, negative 2 is going to be positive 3. F times g of x times root of x minus 5. If I expand this, 3 root x times root x is going to be 3x minus 15 root x minus 2 root x plus 10. If I simplify this expression, I'm left with 3x minus 17 root x plus 10. And the last component is to evaluate if f minus g of 16, and we're going to be using this expression here. So this is equal to 2 root 16, just substituting my value of x with 16, or 2 times 4 plus 3, which is equal to 8, plus 3 is 11. And here we have 3 times 49 minus 17 root 49 plus 10. This is going to be 147 minus 17 times 7 plus 10. So this is going to come out to 38.